Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Barclays Premier League Week 3 catch-up. Great games this week, as always. Really, the Premier League, from top to bottom, the best teams to the mediocre teams, and even the worst teams. There's always good games every single week, and this week was no different. And, of course, we had some teams show their dominance, like Manchester United, and prove again that they are going to keep winning. And then you had teams like Arsenal who absolutely blew it. Now, I will try to recap in a few days here all the transfers that have happened in the Barclays Premier League and from European soccer and maybe a few other leagues around the world. I'll try to do a video on that as soon as possible. But this is about the Premier League Week 3. We're going to be off this next week. We won't return till Week 3. The Week 4 will be September 9th, I believe. So we're going to take a little bit of week off from the weekly wrap-ups, obviously. But we'll be back for a video in just 2 weeks. So let's jump into it, and let's start with Arsenal versus Liverpool. Arsenal has some serious problems. Not only do they have some problems where there's going to be players leaving, Ramsey maybe had the worst game against Liverpool. He was pretty terrible. The thing is everyone wants to talk about how bad Arsenal was. And it's warranted. But let's remember how good Liverpool was. When you have Mane and Salah just streaking up and down the field with bursting speed, and you have guys like Holding and Koscielny just absolutely with dodgy defense, you're going to get blown off the field. Wenger, he's lost control of this team. I really believe so. Listen, okay, I know Arsene Wenger is he's a good coach. The thing is he hasn't really done much. Yes, he was part of the Invincibles almost, 15 years ago or so. That's the thing. A lot of fans don't remember that right now. There's older fans that do. I do. A lot of the younger fans and some of the fans right now that are voicing their opinions, and they did even earlier in the summer, they want Arsene Wenger out. I think a change would help this team. It doesn't look like a lot of these guys want to play for him. There's no cohesion. It's just bad chemistry between these guys, to use a FIFA 17 reference. But Liverpool was passing the ball so well. They were getting into the box. Roberto Firmino scores from a great cross. This guy, Jurgen Klopp says he's the most underrated player. I also believe Roberto Firmino is one of the most underrated players. He's absolutely incredible. He's having a great season so far. He gets a great header. The second goal comes from Mane, who bangs in a beauty from a counter-attack in the 40th minute. And Holding and Koscielny looked like amateurs. They looked like amateurs in this game. They were just flat-footed, caught up. Koscielny just let him come right through and blow by and score the second goal. Arsenal has a corner. The ball comes out. Arsenal, swings it in. The ball comes out to Bellerin. He tries to bring it down and maybe go forward or do something instead of just defending the ball. Salah takes it right off him, runs downfield like a demon, and puts one away, 1v1. Unbelievable. Salah was sensational in this game. In the 77th minute then, Liverpool goes once again end-to-end. Salah eventually gets it on the wing, swings it into Daniel Sturridge, and scores he scores a very easy goal. Not great, easy. Very easy goal. They win 4-0. As I said, guys, this game is not so much about how bad Arsenal is, because they were terrible. And they've been terrible, though. They were bad against Stoke. They lost. And then they also barely won to Leicester City. It came down to, the last minutes for them to pull that one out. They brought in Alexander Lacazette, and the guy sat on the bench. A $50 million striker, and the guy didn't start. Wenger, what the fuck? Come on, man. You can't leave Lacazette on the bench. Don't know really what was going on in this game. Arsenal looked terrible. Their midfield looked weak. They looked so bad. Xhaka, Ramsey, like I said, was probably just one of the worst players on the field. Ozil was, I know Ozil doesn't track back a lot, but he was just giving up the ball. Too many turnovers for him, and they weren't getting the ball up the pitch far enough for Ozil to work in that final third of the pitch. So this game ended Arsenal 0, Liverpool 4. Good win for Liverpool, and like I said, I think we've got to give credit to Liverpool for playing a great game. And of course, look at how bad Arsenal is, and man, the fact is that if Wenger wasn't Wenger, he didn't have such a history, and, you know, coached the Invincibles and all this stuff, the guy might be out. But he's not going to be out. That's not going to happen. So, let's go on to Bournemouth versus Manchester City. Now, in the 12th minute, Company tries to clear a ball with a little header. It lands on Charlie Daniels' foot, and he just thunderstrikes this thing in the back of the net. The angle, the shot was absolutely sensational. Bournemouth go up early with an absolute beauty. They looked really good. Bournemouth looked really good through most of the game. Defoe almost had a really good chance to score. He missed though. Eventually, Gabriel Jesus scores from an incredible David Silva pass, throws it through. Gabriel Jesus gets on the end of the ball and goes in. They end up tying 1-1. Bournemouth nearly puts away. Bournemouth nearly edges them with a couple great shots well past stoppage time, okay? In a crazy clearance, they're able to clear the ball. In the 7th minute of extra time, because this one had like, I think 10 or 15 minutes of extra time. It was crazy. There was, I believe, 10 minutes of extra time. In the 7th minute of extra time, Danilo tries to put it through. It comes down to Sterling, and Sterling puts it in. Again, Sterling with the game winner. I can't even believe that he would even been mentioned in a possible swap for Alexis Sanchez with money right now. Sterling has saved so many games for Man City so far in this short beginning of this, in just these first 3 games. Manchester City with the Sterling goal go up 2-1 in extra time, and then Sterling gets a red card for celebrating like a jackass going into the crowd. So he gets sent off. That's right, another red card, guys. Red cards are a theme this whole entire Premier League season so far. It's been red cards. And Sterling gets sent off and well into extra time, but the game ends 2-1 Manchester City over Bournemouth. Next up, we've got Huddersfield versus Southampton, and this one's going to be quick, okay? Huddersfield dominated the first half. They couldn't score, okay? Second half, Southampton started to dominate the game, but they couldn't score. It ended up 0-0. I don't know why I said it like that, but Huddersfield remains unbeaten. Huddersfield had really good chances early on, and then Southampton also had really good chances late on into the second half. Redmond almost scored, but he was unable to do so. Manchester United versus Leicester. You know, United looked amazing once again. They were pressing so far up the field, non-stop. Pogba was shooting from the parking lot. He was shooting from everywhere, mostly from way outside the box. But and it was crazy because it seemed like as the first half went on, it seemed like he got closer and closer to the goal. His shots did. His first few shots were like, woo, out of the stadium. And then the next few shots started to get closer and closer and closer to Schmeichel. Lukaku, I think about the little after halftime, Lukaku gets a penalty kick from a really questionable penalty, actually. A ball gets kicked off of the right back, Danny Simpson. It hits his arm. It seemed more of like a ball to hand than a hand to ball, if you know what I mean. But either way, Lukaku goes up to the penalty spot against Schmeichel, and he stops him. And that was a terrible penalty kick by Lukaku. I think it was one of the worst penalty kicks I've ever seen. He misses the penalty kick. Schmeichel comes up big. But then in the 70th minute, after Rashford comes on as a substitute, Mkhitaryan swings one in from the corner, comes down to Rashford, and he just puts it right in the back of the net. Rashford scores. And then in the 82nd minute, Lingard, who gets downfield, has so much patience, takes his time, takes a look inside, swings it into Fellaini, or it was just a really weak shot that hit Fellaini. But I think it was a pass to Fellaini. It hits off Fellaini's leg, and it goes in. And Manchester wins 2-0 from that. Here's the thing. Manchester United could have probably won by more. I think the Mata offside early on was questionable. Schmeichel had a really good game. He was making a lot of good stops. They were really pounding the goal. Schmeichel was off his line during the penalty kick, though. I have to add, whenever Lukaku took his penalty kick, and it was a bad kick, but Schmeichel, I believe, was a few yards off the line. I think that probably should have been retaken. But also, Manchester United's defense looked really good against a Leicester team that likes to counterattack and get up and do those through balls. Phil Jones, the center back, did really well. I was super impressed with Phil Jones. He did really good. He tracked back a few times and made some big defensive plays. Man U wins 2-0 against Leicester. These are the kind of wins I like to see because I think Leicester's a bit more quality team than the last two teams that Manchester United played. Okay, so Swansea versus Crystal Palace. Abraham gets a sloppy goal in this game. Was really kind of ugly. And then also Ayew, at the beginning of the second half, Ayew gets a goal. You know, this was a terrible play by Hennessy, who came out for Crystal Palace and really screwed this play up. That Ayew second goal just shouldn't have happened. De Boer, the manager, could be the first manager that gets fired. As much as everyone's calling for Arsene Wenger's head, he's not going to get fired. I think Wenger's somebody who's got to be asked to step down. But De Boer, the way this team is played, this guy's out very soon. Swansea City, off the Abraham and Ayew goal, wins 2-0 over Crystal Palace. Then we have Newcastle versus West Ham, and Newcastle finally showed some talent, even though it was West Ham, but they showed that they had some players that could score, and they were scoring very easily against West Ham. West Ham was very sloppy in the midfield play between the midfielders and the defense in about the 36th minute. I think it was Rice who loses the ball for Newcastle. A big counterattack. Joselu scores. In the 52nd minute, West Ham almost scores, but an incredible save. Last-ditch effort from Newcastle to save that one. And then Kieran Clark scores a header to go up 2-0 for Newcastle. And then Mitrovic at the end in the 86th minute gets a great ball to seal the game. 3-0. You know, this was a good game for Newcastle. They needed this win, I think. It's going to give them some confidence going forward that they can play in the Premier League and score goals. They've gone scoreless. They haven't scored. This was the first game they did, and they won handily 3-0 to West Ham. So it was a good performance. Good game from there's Joselu. Also, Perez played really good. He had a great chance that he didn't score early in the game. He was moving Ruben. But, yeah, this was a pretty good game for Newcastle for the most part. I was impressed with what I seen. Next up, we have Watford versus Brighton. And the only thing that really happened in this game is that we had another red card. And it was the center back, Britos, who just scored, I think last week or the week before, that bracer goal. He scored one that I think tied up the game for them. But either way, terrible tackle from Britos. This guy slides on the sideline and just studs up, ass up, fucked up. The guy just dove in, the terrible tackle, and yeah, he gets sent off. But the game doesn't change. It doesn't change the result of the game though, because Brighton hit the post a lot, and they just kept hitting the post, especially in like the first 30-40 minutes of this game. They were just pinging the post. This game ends 0-0. Brighton and Watford tie. Wasn't much in this game. Next up, we have Chelsea versus Everton. Everton had 0 shots on target. On target, okay? In the 27th minute, Cesc Fabregas scores a great goal. A little 1-2 between him and Alvaro Morata. Morata's looking really good up there as a striker. I know I said he's not Diego Costa, and he's not. I think he is a little bit better in other ways, and he was showing that with his ability to pass and back and forth with Cesc Fabregas and set up that great goal from him. And then Morata himself, before halftime, gets a great ball from Azpilicueta. He heads one in and scores. Pedro wore those scary masks that they wear when they get hit in the face, I guess. I don't know what. Those masks scare me. They scare me. But Chelsea win over Everton 2-0. Keane for Everton, the center back that they paid $30 million for, looked mediocre. They lacked some creativity in the midfield. It didn't look like they were getting the chances that they did in the last few games. But the last few games that Rooney scored, it seemed like Rooney did it on his own almost. Like he did get a good assist from the one young guy, Lewin, but it seemed like this game, it seemed like Everton was lacking creativity, and they were coming up against questionably the best defense in the league, in Chelsea. So Chelsea wins over Everton 2-0. Next up, we have West Brom versus Stoke. Rodriguez scores from across in the 60th minute. In the 77th minute, Hagazi was unable to clear the ball. It comes down to Crouch. It's pretty much gifted to Peter Crouch, and he just puts his big 7-foot head on top of it, and they score. Stoke tie West Brom 1-1. I was really excited to see Hesse again play because I think he's going to do really good things this year for Stoke, but it ended up being a 1-1 game, and it wasn't that exciting. Next up, we have Tottenham versus Burnley. And this was exciting. Tom Heaton was so good. I think, and I saw a lot of good performances this week from a lot of players, but I think Tom Heaton gets player of the week. Tom Heaton, even though he did let up a goal just after halftime from Del Ali, this was a ball that bounced around a lot in front of him, and it was hard to keep track of. Heaton stopped Kane repeatedly. Kane just kept coming down, shooting, and he kept missing. Kane doesn't do well in August, statistically speaking, in the past few years, so maybe he just has a slump before he gets moving. But in extra time, Brady picks up the ball, swings it to Chris Wood, the new signing, and man, he puts one away. Where was Trippier? Where was the right back from Tottenham, Trippier? This is the guy who replaced Kyle Walker. He was nowhere to be found for Tottenham. Tottenham didn't look like themselves. They didn't look like themselves. They were unable to execute on a lot of chances, and they had chances. Tottenham had 28 shots. Now, granted, not all of those were on target, but 28 shots. Burnley had 13, but Heaton looked incredible. He stopped Harry Kane, who's been one of the top goal scorers in the league the past few years, so I was very impressed by Heaton. Chris Wood looked really good in this game. Nice to see him score, especially since Burnley lost Gray last year. I think this is a good player. I think Chris Wood is a good replacement for Gray, who they lost last year. So they tied up. Tottenham looks bad. 1-1. We'll see what happens. But I wasn't happy with the way Tottenham played in this game. They seemed a bit sloppy. They really did. They seemed a bit sloppy. So guys, that was the Week 3 Barclays Premier League catch-up. If you guys like this video, please like this video. Please share it to anyone who is a big Barclays Premier League soccer fan. And as always, thanks for freaking